today's season finale, we discuss the record-smashing Las Vegas coaster that would never see the light of day. Welcome to Airtime Traveler. Hey everybody, welcome to the Roller Coaster History Podcast. You are listening to Airtime Traveler. My name is Nathan Grace, and as always, I'm joined by my wife and lovely co-host.
Hey, I'm Haley Grace.
And thank you for tuning in to the Season 1 finale. Wow.
We should have like a little ding ding ding. Or...
Ding 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 ding. There we go.
No, I guess you
That's
were
easy.
too.
That's easier than going and finding a sound effect.
Oh, that's boring.
Maybe I'll put like some applause in the background.
Hey!
In case you hadn't listened to our previous episodes, we are taking a break for a few months. We'll still be doing some other things. We'll be doing coaster conversations. In fact, I'll talk about this in a second, but we will be doing an episode of Coaster Conversations to be released on the 2nd of January. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. And then, but we are going to be taking a break from Airtime Traveler specifically for 3 months. So we'll be back for Season 2 the first week of April. So just to give us a chance to kind of catch up and take a break. We've been going nonstop on this podcast and amusement park trips, and the holidays, it's been crazy. So we're just going to take a breather for a few months and then hop back into it in April. So, but we're hoping to improve the quality of the podcast, maybe have some new things coming, and obviously we'll be talking about more and more coasters. And
I still think it'd be cool if maybe get merch.
To sell merch?
Yeah.
I don't think we have enough listeners to sell merch yet.
Maybe so. I still think it would be cool though.
Someday. If you haven't yet, be sure to go and follow us on social media. We are on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. If you go to Twitter and Instagram specifically, you can also see pictures that I'll be showing Haley throughout the episode. So you can follow along and see the different images that I'll be showing her throughout the episode. Let's see. Anything else to talk about? I guess if you haven't listened to the podcast before, basically we pick one roller coaster and we dive into the history of that individual coaster.
Yeah, we do.
I'm a coaster enthusiast and have been for a long time. And Haley is a member of the GP or the general public. We're recording this late at night. Haley's gonna be a little punchier than usual. So
I mean, it's not that late. It's just I think the holidays have me hyped. Maybe just a little bit.
A little bit.
Or stressed. We're both.
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's here to make me more interesting. That's what Haley's here for. So
that's me. I make your life more interesting, let's be honest.
I'm pretty sure you said that last episode, too.
It's not wrong.
So, this being the season finale, what we're going to be doing today... Oh, one more thing I forgot. Yesterday, CoasterBot 2022 results were released. So, That will be what our Coaster Conversations episode is about on January 2nd. So, we'll just be diving into the results. We'll be looking at winners and losers. We'll be looking at coasters that are some of our favorites, see how they performed. We'll be looking at the coasters that we've discussed on the podcast, how they performed. And just kind of diving into the results and see what other people are thinking about roller coasters compared to what we think about some of these roller coasters. So I will drop a big spoiler though. So if you want to wait till the episode, skip ahead 15 seconds. But Steel Vengeance was dethroned as the #1 coaster.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's #1.
Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens Tampa that opened this year. Also built by RMC was took the throne from Steel Vengeance.
So how do you feel about that?
Well, I don't know because I haven't been on Iron Gwazi. So I would like to give that one a try and see how I feel. But I know a lot of people are feeling like maybe Iron Gwazi just has the hype right now because it's new.
Maybe.
And they think Steel Vengeance will eventually take this top spot back. And I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. So, Steel Vengeance is longer, but Iron Gwazi, I've heard, has better pacing. Like, it's just way faster. So, I don't know. It's interesting. So, we shall see.
I hope that we get to go on it soon. Our friends, live right by there. So.
Busch Gardens, Tampa.
Oh.
Yeah, not Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. So.
Well, you've talked about taking a Florida trip.
There's so many coasters I want to do in Florida, so someday I will get on Iron Gwazi, but it might not be in the number one spot by the time that happens. RMC will have built 3 other coasters that are better than it by then.
Well, Wildcat.
Yeah, I don't think Wildcat's Revenge will be capable of taking the number 1 spot. I definitely could see it in the top 10, though.
Yeah.
So.
I hope so.
Yeah, we'll see. So. All right. So.
Let's dive in.
We are going to dive in. So. So we had a special Halloween episode that we did where we talked about a coaster that no longer exists. And so as I was thinking about what I wanted to do for like a season finale episode, I asked Haley what she thought about doing an episode about a coaster that never existed. So like a coaster that was planned to be constructed, but then just never happened for one reason or another. And so we both thought that was kind of an interesting idea and gave us something kind of new to talk about that we haven't talked about before. So that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Okay.
So today we're going to be talking about, my mouse here, the Stratosphere Fishhook Coaster. A very interesting name. I will say, just to start, that is not an official name. The coaster never got developed enough where it had an official name.
Wow. So this is like...
It was pretty far in development, but we'll go through the whole story. But the Fishhook Coaster name was not the official name. It was kind of a nickname given by enthusiasts. But then because it never got an actual name, it's just kind of the name that stuck. So we're going to talk... so are you familiar with the Stratosphere in Las Vegas? Have we talked about this before?
Isn't it the one that is really, really high?
Yes.
It's on a building or whatever?
Yes, you're thinking about the correct. So this is the Stratosphere. It is the...
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
Uh-uh.
Why don't you like it?
Are you looking at this right now? Number one, it doesn't even look like a coaster. It looks like a little pokey stick up in the sky.
This is... Well, it's not a roller coaster. This is just a building.
Don't matter. That's too high off the ground. No. I would never.
You would never what?
I would never. I would never get on it.
This isn't a... We haven't even talked about rides yet. This is just part of a resort in Las Vegas.
I would never go up that high. I would never go in that building.
Really?
No.
Nowhere? There's a just a restaurant up here?
Empire State Building thing? That freaks me out.
Really?
I would never do it.
What's the highest up you'll go?
I don't know. It freaks me out.
Weird. Because, I know you don't like being... when we did that Ferris wheel in Texas, I know you didn't like that. And that one was 200 feet, I think. But, I don't know. This doesn't freak me out because I have something to stand on, so...
I don't know. It's so hard because it's Pittsburgh, has skyscrapers. Mm-hmm. And I've been in those. So it's but I might go up to the window and look down. That would freak me out.
Yeah. Well, the Stratosphere, it's the, I didn't write down all the statistics. Basically, it's one of the tallest structures in the country. It's the tallest in Nevada for sure. And I think it's either the tallest or second tallest observation tower in the country. So it's quite the impressive structure. So
you say impressive. I say freaking terrifying.
Well, those can coexist. Can you imagine how hard it was to construct this? That's what's impressive, is how tall it is that they constructed this thing. So it can be impressive and terrifying at the same time.
Okay.
Do we need to change topics? Do we need to record a different episode?
Yes.
We haven't even gotten to the roller coaster yet. Just wait till we get there. Or the rides. We've talked nothing scary compared to what we're going to talk about.
Oh, no.
This is just the tower.
Okay, continue.
So, back when we're talking, it's called the Stratosphere. Nowadays, it's called the Strat. That's the rebrand.
That's awful.
The Strat.
It sounds like street rat, like put together. One
Strat.
word, the Strat. You're a
I guess
street rat.
I guess that's what the locals called it anyway. Like it was
Okay.
so they just call it that. So don't have much to talk about in the intro here because there's no CoasterBot data, no logo, paint scheme, customer reviews. Like we don't have any of that because this coaster never happened. But there are the Stratosphere does have 3 rides that are not coasters, but they have 3 flat rides. So here are the 3 rides that they have. So they have Big Shot, which is think of like a Firefall at Silver Dollar City, where it like launches. It's like a drop tower,
so it's
but
not a drop tower. It's the one that launches.
It's like
up
shoots
and
you
then
up
down.
and then drop. And exactly. So they have that. That's the spire of the tower. Actually, is that ride. And then they have Insanity, which this is crazy. So this arm,
that's a big.
This arm hangs over the side of the building and it swings around. And like you start like this, like facing each other, and as it swings, you like swing out like this so that you're facing down.
We need to skip. This is not okay with me.
And then X Scream,
this is I've seen this before, and this is the one that I said no.
X Scream is the one you've seen before, where it's
I
like
will not.
it's
We're
like
not
a giant.
even going to talk about it.
Well,
you can
for
talk about
the
it.
listeners that don't know, it's like a giant seesaw with like a roller coaster train on it, and it tilts back and forth, and like you like teeter over the edge of the building.
No.
So
I can't even look at it.
These things are crazy.
I'm like seriously dizzy even just thinking about it.
Crazy.
I'm serious. Oh no.
So those are the
and
4 rides
what's
they currently
crazy
have.
is your dad would totally be like, "Let's go," and I'm like,
He's done all of them. He's been there and done all of these.
Your dad's a nut. Jamie, if you're listening, you're crazy.
Oh, he is listening. He listens to every episode. Yep,
I can't believe he's done this.
Oh yeah, he's done all of these. Yeah. So let's see. Because we do have these 3, I decided why don't I pull some customer reviews for the rides that are currently there. So
these are great.
So we've got 1 star. The first few for Big Shot. 1 star. Need to reach out to more locals, coupons, lower the prices, etc. So this guy is basically like, it's too expensive. They should be sending out coupons so it doesn't cost as much. Okay. 1 star, didn't do.
So why would you review it?
Oh, well, clearly they have lots of friends because every week we have somebody that feels the need to review
this.
Feels the need to review something that they didn't do. I don't know what that innate desire is.
Didn't do.
Didn't do. 1 star. 2 stars. You get shot up fast 1 time. Not worth it. Ride the other rides more often.
What?
Okay. Well, you have your opinions, I suppose. 3 stars. This review makes no sense. Tell me if this makes any sense to you. Thrilled ride and Vegas nightlight. Good mood with girlfriend or wife. We're talking about a thrill ride on top of the Stratosphere. I
think someone was in a mood when they wrote
Thrilled
this.
Ride and Vegas nightlight.
I just don't know.
Good mood with girlfriend or wife. I have no idea what this person's trying to say.
Listen, if you put this much effort into actually writing a review, please put some effort into actual grammar and like.
I wonder if this person had a few before they wrote this review.
Maybe.
They may even not. They may not even know they wrote a review.
They were in a good mood when they wrote it.
3 stars. The big shot is absolutely amazing. Didn't go at night. A must if local.
Definitely go.
Oh, definitely go at night. A must if local. The darkness makes it even more scary. Absolute delight. Not a big fan of the Stratosphere, but I'll just big shot 3 stars just because everything else there is not that great. So this person loves this ride more than anything else at the Stratosphere, but gave it 3 stars because the rest of the stuff isn't that great.
I wonder if they knew that this is like the ride review.
It may have been where she thought she was reviewing the Stratosphere, but I don't know. That definitely happens. Okay, so now we got some X-Scream reviews.
And this is the one that...
This is the one that teeters over the edge. 1 star. Bad. Too rough on the stops and jolts. Not recommended. Too quick and not very fun. Okay. 2 stars. It was boring, but beautiful view.
It was boring?
It was boring? What is this? This person was expecting it to drop off the tower.
Can you imagine? Like, if it was just, like, on some wire and be like...
Well, they do have... You can go bungee jumping off the side of the tower. Yeah, that's crazy.
No.
I don't know if it's bungee jumping or if it's just a controlled free fall.
Nope.
But either way.
Doesn't matter.
5 stars. I don't know. I went on it and it was scary.
But they put 5
stars. 5 stars. I don't know. I went on it and it was scary.
Okay.
And then last but not least, there was no Google reviews for Insanity, so I don't know what that's about. But I did find one review on TripAdvisor that was amazing. So 5 stars. Not for the faint-hearted. For a great thrill, take a ride on Insanity on the top of the Stratosphere Tower. Strap into a whirl-a-bird type ride as it hovers over the side on the Stratosphere Tower as it spins you around to a rock and roll soundtrack as you scream at the dizzy heights. Great view of Greater Vegas. I couldn't do it until an elderly woman who had to be 80 rode Insanity. I couldn't be shown up by her in front of family, so away I went and had a blast.
Okay, number 1. This is the best written.
The first few sentences sound like what they should have put that on the website. Yeah, that's amazing. Couldn't be shown up by an elderly woman in front of my family. That is great.
That's like me. If there's someone like older couple, I'm like, when we go on these rides, I'm like, oh, I got this. Yeah.
I can't remember. I think it was Steel Vengeance that there was like a 60, 70-year-old woman that got on Steel Vengeance ahead of us. Do you remember that?
There's been a lot of rides that we've gone on.
But
there was one couple I went on, and you weren't with me because it was like one of the times we had to do a rider swap at Kings Island.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like a lot older couple. Like, they had to be in their 70s, if not older. And they got on this ride together, and I was just like laughing. I'm like, that's gonna be us.
Oh, I love it. That better be us.
It better not be
awesome.
us.
It'll be me. You can do it, you not, but I hope that's me.
We're gonna just go to Silver Dollar City, and I'm gonna go shopping, and you're just gonna ride all the coasters.
You'll find me lapping Outlaw Run when I'm in my retirement.
You're just gonna buy your own roller coaster park.
If I had the money, I would. But that's obviously way too much.
That's our retirement.
We
said we were going to do Disney World for our retirement.
We did say that. Maybe we would do a cast member for retirement.
So fun.
We'll see. We shall see. We got to get to that point first.
It's true.
All right. So let's talk about the history of the Stratosphere Fishhook Coaster. So let's go back.
Why Fishhook?
You will see.
Oh, okay.
I'm leaving that as more of a surprise. So.
Okay.
So let's go back to 1974. All right, 1974. So the Stratosphere doesn't have any roller coasters anymore. They used to, and we're going to talk about that as part of our story. But because of that, we're just going to kind of talk about the Stratosphere as a whole. This is really our only chance to talk about everything else related to the Stratosphere. So we're going to talk about the history of the Stratosphere and then the kind of the first half, and then the back half of the episode will be let's talk about the coaster that didn't happen. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the history of the Stratosphere Hotel. So, first off, we're going to talk about Bob Stupak.
Okay.
Bob Stupak. He was a casino owner in Vegas in the 70s. And he originally built Bob Stupak's world-famous $1 million historic gambling museum and casino. Whoa.
Mouthful. Is there an acronym for that?
Bus from the Hiskimak. There you go. It burned down 2 months later. Mac. This story, by the way, the story of the Stratosphere Tower getting built, it is a mess. There are so many things that happen. You're just like, how did this... Anyway, let's get into it. So Stupak was actually accused of arson. So, like, the insurance company accused him of burning down the casino himself. But the lawsuit was settled out of court. So, anyway. So he does get a $1 million investment to rebuild a new casino and resort. So in 1979, he would open Vegas World, which was a space-themed resort. It was pretty successful. It became the largest personally owned casino resort in the world by 1990. So there were other casinos and resorts that were like bigger, but they were owned by corporations or investing firms and stuff like that. This was the one that was the biggest one that was owned by like one person.
I think it would have been so cool to go to a casino, like in the 20s, like with the little hopper dresses. I know that's a weird thought, but like, have some fun.
To each their own.
I was just thinking about that, and I was like, I wonder, like, I don't know, we've never even been inside a casino, so.
Well, I have. Like on cruise ships and stuff.
I mean, yeah, so like I know like what they look like, but I've never actually gambled, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah. In October 1989, Stupak would announce plans to construct a 1,012-foot tall neon sign for Vegas World. So, like, the idea was, like, he just wanted, like, this massive sign for the resort.
Okay.
That would kind of morph over the next few months, though, where he decided to include an observation deck at the top of the tower. Stupak said, "What I'm trying to do for Las Vegas is what the Eiffel Tower did for Paris, what the Empire State Building did for New York, what the Space Needle did for Seattle." So basically, he wanted to build a landmark for Vegas, right? So that was kind of his idea. So in February 1990, he announced a few more details. So the planned cost was $50 million. It was going to have a revolving restaurant at the top of the tower.
A revolving restaurant? Mm-hmm. So let's just make you dizzy and nauseous while you're eating.
One rotation of the restaurant takes an hour and a half. So you're barely moving at all. So. Okay. They couldn't do it too fast or the waiters would be like falling over with your food and stuff. There would be 4 penthouse suites, so like people could actually like stay the night up there. And it was going to be designed by Ned Baldwin, who also worked on the CN Tower in Toronto. I think it's in Toronto. The Federal Aviation Administration was opposed to the project, stating it was 200 feet too tall. So basically they were worried about it being a hazard to pilots and airplanes in the area. But despite objections, the city would approve the project in October of 1991, and construction would begin in February of 1992. Also, at one point, Stupak said it was going to include the world's first indoor lion park. But that idea was eventually scrapped. That's just so random. Like, I just saw that. I was like, that doesn't fit anything I've read so far.
Just as bad as the Ligers in Lava Hot Springs. Which is a story for another day, but...
I have no idea how we'd fit that story into an episode. That has nothing to do with an amusement park. But
if you guys want a funny story, look up the Lava Hot Springs, Idaho Ligers.
There you go.
It's very interesting.
The tower was built directly north of the Las Vegas Strip, so some people consider it part of the Strip, some people don't. It just depends who you ask. It's south of downtown Las Vegas in an area known as Meadows Village, a crime-ridden neighborhood nicknamed Naked City. So that's lovely.
Maybe never to visit Vegas.
No kidding. At least not at night. Jeez. The hope was that the tower would spur redevelopment in the area and improve living conditions for that village. So they were like, we could, by doing this, we're going to bring more money into this area of the city and hopefully bring some redevelopment, and it won't be as bad and crime-ridden as it is now. So, okay, that's a nice thought.
It's a nice thought.
Well, you'll understand why I said that in a few minutes.
Oh my gosh!
So, in August of 1993, the half-finished tower caught fire, and all guests had to be evacuated from the next-door resort. No injuries occurred. No significant damage was done because it was just all concrete. I guess it was just really the scaffolding that caught fire. The actual tower didn't burn because it's just concrete. No cause was determined, though.
It was the arson.
Was it Stupak? More arson from Stupak.
He was just like, man, this looks like fun. Let's burn it.
Really likes fires. Following the fire, Stupak had trouble financing the completion of the tower. To continue construction, Grand Casinos announced plans in October of 93 to purchase 33% of the Stratosphere and Vegas World. So it ended up being 43%, I think. So he sold off a portion of the company to kind of help finance the rest of the tower. As construction continued into April of 1994, the tower was over 700 feet in height at this point. That month, Stupak announced he was considering an 813-foot extension to the tower's final height, which would bring it to 1,825 feet, beating the CN Tower by 10 feet. So basically, he was trying to make it so that the Stratosphere would be the tallest tower in the world. That was his goal.
Oh.
After construction had already started. So I don't know what that's about. The proposal was opposed by the FAA, the Airline Pilots Association, and the McCarran International Airport in Vegas, stating the tower would be so tall it would force changes in air traffic patterns. So, like, planes coming into the airport, like, would have to go a different direction because of how tall this tower would be. So that's crazy. So ultimately, the project was awarded an extra 137 feet, but no more. They basically told Stupak, like, no, you're crazy.
Yeah, no.
We'll give you a little bit extra, but nothing like what you're asking. That's crazy. In February 1995, Vegas World was closed so that the entire resort could be, like, integrated into one. So the resort was renamed the Stratosphere Hotel and Resort. Remember that neighborhood they hoped would be redeveloped and improved? It was demolished and they built a parking garage there instead. So, people with money, they're like, oh, well, this is going to bring redevelopment to the area. And then they're like, let's put the parking garage over there. It's like,
let's just cover up our mistake.
Yeah. They at least provided free rent and relocation expenses to 140 residents that had to be relocated.
How nice of them.
Yeah, how thoughtful. Stupak was later involved in a motorcycle accident that left him in a coma for 2 weeks.
This poor man.
I don't feel bad for him. He has lots of money. He's fine.
Oh, okay.
But holy motorcycle! So far we've had 2 fires. We've had people being relocated from their houses. We had someone involved in a motorcycle accident that left them in a coma. Like, this is crazy.
This is definitely crazy.
Okay.
I'm not sure how I feel about all this.
Oh, don't worry. We're not done.
Okay.
April 25th, 1996, 5 days before opening, a smoke in the tower's restaurant forced an evacuation of all the workers.
Okay.
Finally, opening day, April 30th, 1996 at midnight. There were 8,000 VIP guests in attendance.
8,000?
8,000. That's impressive.
That is impressive.
6-minute fireworks show set off fire alarms. Here's a picture of the fireworks show in the grand opening. The 6-minute...
Why would you put the fireworks that
fireworks
close?
show set off fire alarms.
Well,
I guess...
yeah.
Well, I guess what happened was, basically, they... I'm trying to understand. There was like a door that was left open for like camera wires to be put through. Well, that door let smoke into the building, and then from the fireworks, and then the smoke set off the fire alarms, and like hundreds of people got stranded on the elevators.
Oh my gosh!
This is a disaster. What is happening? Oh my gosh!
It was cursed.
This
Let's
is
never
this
go
is
here.
crazy.
I don't trust it.
This is nuts. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's see. So in the aftermath of all of this, so they finally open the resort. Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Cool.
3 months later, Stupak leaves, reportedly uninterested in the project after he couldn't break the height record. So this man, this man announced a 1,000-foot sign, turns it into an observation tower. It's his idea.
What a whack
And then
job.
they start constructing it. He decides, I want it to be the tallest building in the world. They won't let him do that. Now he's uninterested in his idea that he tried to change and they wouldn't let him. I don't understand. This doesn't make sense.
Okay.
This is his quote. He said, I don't want to be the guy who built a tall tower in Las Vegas. I want to be the guy who built the tallest structure in the world. End quote.
Oh.
This guy is... He's a piece of work.
Yeah. I mean, if that's one word you want to use to describe it.
Yeah, interesting. So, so he leaves after 3 months. Somebody else takes over. The resort was initially a massive flop. So they built this massive tower, and according to experts, the casino was designed poorly, basically allowing guests to visit the tower without going through the casino, which, if you know anything about casino construction, that's like that's a major no-no. There's a reason that, like, on cruise ships, the casino is in the middle of the boat. It forces you to walk through the casino to go to other places.
Right.
That's just casino design 101.
Well, yeah, casinos bring in big bucks, man.
Oh, that's
like,
how this whole thing is funded, is by the people that are gambling in the casino.
Yeah.
So, that's crazy. Grand Casinos was accused of not knowing what they were doing at all, which is hilarious because their name is Grand Casinos. By January of 1997, the Stratosphere Corporation filed for bankruptcy. Less than a year, not 9 months after this thing opened, they were filing for bankruptcy. That's crazy. Oh my gosh. To recap, and there's a lot else I could cover, but I just want to recap the last 20 years quickly.
Okay.
Because basically, after the bankruptcy, some other investors came in and did eventually save it and bring it like to a spot that it's actually profitable and doing very well nowadays. So, but man, the earliers were just complete.
Yeah, it's like,
oh my!
Here's a complete circus.
It was.
I mean, they wanted
lions. Oh, that's funny. Wow. Okay.
Circus in a tower. There you go.
That is crazy. Okay. Let's see. Some stats about... So here's a picture of the tower. This is from the base of it.
Yeah, still no.
That's crazy. This thing is huge. Unreal. Some stats about the tower. It has 2 observation decks. Oh, I do have it here. It is the tallest observation tower in the country. There's a wedding chapel up there.
Of course
so
there is.
I think it's called like Chapel in the Heavens or something cheesy like that.
Well, it is Vegas.
well, and it's high up in the sky, like, so in the heavens or in the clouds. It's something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, but the fact that there's a wedding chapel up there.
Oh, well, it has to be.
It's Vegas.
It has some of the fastest elevators in the world. The elevators travel at 1,801 feet per minute. So, I don't know. I didn't look up average elevator speed statistics. But that sounds fast.
Well, why not?
I mean, it makes sense. Like, if you're taking an elevator up 1,000 feet, like, so if it's 1,800 feet per minute, okay, so it gets you up to the top of the tower in less than a minute. That's pretty impressive.
That is impressive.
So
I'll give him that much.
There are stairs that lead to the top of the tower, or to the 108th floor, which is basically the top. It's 1,455 steps. It's only open, so they don't, it's like for emergencies only. They don't just let people use the stairs that they want to, except they have annual stair races. It's for charity though, so I guess that's nice. So
that's funny.
It's like a marathon thing, but they just do it on stairs. And they like send out one person per minute is kind of how they do it.
That's actually kind of,
isn't that,
that's intense.
That is super intense. That is crazy.
I don't know.
That is a lot.
I mean, marathons are hard, period, but to do a stair marathon?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
No thanks.
Final cost ended up being about $70 million when all was said and done. $70 million. And that was in the 90s, so it was a little bit more.
What is the most expensive roller coaster?
It's actually Cosmic Rewind. According to rumors, Disney doesn't release. They used to, but nowadays they are not really releasing the cost of their projects to the public.
Got it.
But a professional in the industry has estimated that Cosmic Rewind cost about $500 million. Dang. Which is that is crazy. That's absurd. I mean, to put it in perspective.
Yeah, we haven't done any reviews on Cosmic Rewind.
No, we will.
So we have a
spoilers. Yeah, we'll have a Disney report coming out soon. I can see
where they put. I mean, there was so much that went into it, like pre-show.
It's the largest indoor roller coaster in the world, so that alone.
Not even that. Yeah, it's just like the pre-show was.
The pre-show,
incredible.
like all the technology that went into it. But to put that in perspective, in second place is Hagrid's, which I think was about 250 million. And third place is actually Expedition Everest at 100 million.
Huh. So all like the bigger...
Yeah, they're the ones spending it on theming too, right? Which makes sense. So...
But the fact that this is 70 million?
But yeah, so this is $70 million to build this compared to... Like, this tower is cheaper than Expedition Everest. That's crazy.
I mean,
but
we just need to add Disco Yeti to this tower.
There you go.
Imagine putting that up on the tower like King Kong or something.
Well, funny you should mention that.
Of course
that is hilarious you mentioned that. We'll get into that in a minute, but That's really funny you mentioned that. What was I going to say? Oh, but to think about, so Orion, Kings Island, 300-foot roller coaster, $30 million. So less than 10 times what Disney put into Cosmic Rewind. So it's just interesting how much the theming and the technology and stuff, that it's not so much the coaster. And to be fair, it is partially the coaster too, because Disney developed a brand new coaster type with like those the cars that so it's similar to like Time Traveler and some other things that have controlled spins, but it was brand new technology that Disney developed. So crazy. Anyway, yeah, $70 million, weighs approximately 50,000 tons, has 290 miles of steel, like reinforcement in the structure.
Where'd they get the steel?
Probably Pittsburgh. The 3 concrete legs, so because it has like 3 legs that come down at the bottom here. The legs themselves are 264 feet tall and weigh 4 million pounds each. That's crazy. So this is a huge.
Could you imagine that thing falling over too?
Oh, that would be catastrophic.
That would be so sad.
Yeah, that's why there's not more towers like these, because it's just it has to be engineered perfectly to be able to stand that way. So anyway, all right, so that is the history of the tower itself. So now let's kind of shift gears. Let's talk about the amusement park, theme park side of things when it comes to the Stratosphere. So I have a commercial here. This is a commercial for the tower, but it's specifically for the thrill rides on the top of the tower. So here, this is only, I think, 30 seconds.
These older commercials.
Enough to experience the high point of adrenaline rushes. You've never ridden so high, so close to the edge. On top of it all, steep thrills from Tower, the high point of Las Vegas.
Wow. That is so 90s.
You know, I would really love to take some of these 90s commercials and just compare, like, maybe that'd be a fun episode. It's just to, like, watch the 90s commercials.
I love the commercials. Whenever I can find a commercial for some of this stuff, that is the best. It's so good. Okay, so we talked about the current rides that they have. So Big Shot opened in 1996 with the tower. I think I'll have a picture in a second here that we can look at. Insanity opened in 2005 and X-Scream opened in 2003. So those were both additions that came later. But you can, I was looking at this picture actually, this one right here. You can actually see X-Scream right here. That's what that little piece hanging off right there is. That's X-Scream.
So that's the one that tilts?
Yeah, that's the tilting one. So, okay. There was one ride that was built on the tower that no longer exists. So this is High Roller. So High Roller opened with the tower in 1996. Roller coaster, it was built by, I think it wasn't built by Premier Rides, but it was designed by Premier Rides. And then
it was designed by a crazy person.
Some other company constructed it.
I can't believe we're talking about this right now.
Some of the stats, the thing, most enthusiasts did not like the ride that much, actually. Because
why?
You are so critical. I'm going to bring someone else into these episodes where we talk about tall stuff.
I don't do this.
I'm not making you write it. We're just talking about it.
Well, good, because it's closed. I'm never getting on it.
It only went 30 miles per hour and only had a 20-foot drop and 865 feet long. So it was basically...
It's terrifying enough being that high off the ground.
Well, it was basically a family coaster that was built on top of this massive tower. So I think I have a video here. Yeah, so this is basically all it did.
Nope.
But...
Oh my gosh. It doesn't matter how fast it goes. Like, look at... Oh. No.
But I think so. It basically just makes this circle around the building. And I think it did 2 laps.
It just basically does that?
I'm going to send you to your room. So it wasn't super popular among guests. It was, I don't know. People were underwhelmed by it, basically. So it was torn down in 2005 when they built Insanity. They kind of replaced one ride with the other. So they no longer have a roller coaster there, but they did at one point. Now, King Kong. In the early days of the Stratosphere, they announced that they were going to be building a ride. They called it Belly of the Beast. And riders would be placed in the stomach of a giant mechanical gorilla that would scale the Stratosphere Tower.
What the heck?
Look at this thing. Look at this. The ride would carry a total of 48 people and would go halfway up the tower. And on its way down, the ride would drop several feet at a time to give riders the sensation of falling.
Ew.
This is bonkers. This is... I've never seen anything like this before. This is so crazy. Yeah, it's just... yeah, I don't...
No
go on Instagram or Twitter and look at the picture of this King Kong ride that I post. Because this is like...
Why with the belly, though? Like, why not, like, have it, like, hanging off the side?
Or, like, on the shoulders or something. I don't know. This is so strange.
Just give the gorilla indigestion or something.
This is Vegas Tower of Terror. This is ridiculous. Wow.
Well, not even Tower of Terror. It's like
but it's like a drop tower. Like that's the idea.
Yeah, but let's give
right?
the gorilla like. Actually, I shouldn't say that on the camera. I was just thinking, let's give the gorilla a stomach ache, but.
Oh, it's weird.
Just jostle it up his stomach, like.
Oh, it's so bizarre.
Needs a Tums after that.
All these people. I'm speechless. I have no words. Go on Instagram or Twitter and look at the picture of this amalgamation that they put together. It wasn't constructed because it was too technically complicated. No, this I'm stunned. Goodness
no
gracious. Way. Oh, but that brings us to our topic for today. So as the Coaster Wars continued throughout the 90s, do you remember us talking about the Coaster Wars? We talked about Phantom's Revenge.
Yes.
Aerodynamics was slowly being replaced by other manufacturers. So, because they would build Steel Phantom in 1991 and Pepsi Max Big One in 1994. Both of those would break the speed record, one of the two. Well, then in 96, Fujiyama was built by Morgan. In 97, Intamin would break the 100-mile-per-hour barrier with Superman the Escape. And then in 2000, Intamin would also break the 300-foot barrier with Millennium Force. And then Morgan was not far behind when they built Steel Dragon 3000 later in 2000. So at this point, basically the aerodynamics is kind of grasping at straws to try to keep up with all the other manufacturers. Like they basically are falling behind and becoming less and less relevant as all these other new and huge coasters are continuing to open. So,
and what company is that again?
This is Aerodynamics. So they're the ones that built like.
But they're still around. No.
Nope. Not Aerodynamics. So we'll talk about what happened to Aero, but they built like They did all the mine train coasters like Thunderation and all the other mine
Maybe
trains.
That's why I thought that they were still.
They built Anaconda at King's Dominion. I'm trying to think what other ones we've done. Gemini at Cedar Point. Technically, they helped build Space Mountain at Walt Disney World, and they helped with a few of Disney's really early projects like Matterhorn. So that's who we're talking about. So. What was Aero's answer to falling behind at this time frame? Well, on December 19th, 2000, they would announce with Six Flags Magic Mountain, this is X. That's the name of the coaster, X. So X was a brand new coaster model that had never been even attempted by anyone. They labeled it, what did they call it? Fourth dimension or multi-dimension coaster. So you got to look at a video of this thing because this thing is absolutely bonkers. I've used bonkers twice now. I don't ride something like that, I think. Well, you haven't seen what it does yet.
Oh dear. Is it like Tumbili but like bigger?
Wow, that's impressive that you actually figured that out. That's exactly what it is. The only difference is I'm impressed. High five for that one. The only difference is Tumbili is a free spin where X is controlled. Yes. So video here. I'm just going to mute that.
That's annoying.
That doesn't help anybody listening to the podcast. So it has two sets of rails. So it has the rails that the train rides on, and there's another set of rails that controls the spinning of the seats. Weird. So you see them like flipping upside down.
I mean, if it's not a free spin, I think I could be okay.
Oh, maybe you would. So this is definitely super high on my bucket list. It's still so this is at Six Flags Magic Mountain, so it's in Southern California. It's still considered one of the best roller coasters ever built. Like in the Coaster Bot rankings, it's still number 14 20 years later.
So what's this have to do with the one in the calendar?
We'll get to it. Okay. So look at this. So you start going backwards.
Oh.
And then as you go over the first drop, it flips you to face down. And you go like just straight at the ground. This is crazy. This I've heard lots of coaster enthusiasts say that this is the ride that scared, like, no other rides have scared them except for this thing.
Okay, maybe it wouldn't be.
It's crazy. So, it's wild. So, but it's a brilliant concept, and like it was, like I said, nothing had ever been done like this. So they're working on this project with Six Flags, but then they also had another idea. So they basically worked on 2 coasters that they thought could bring them back to the limelight, to bring them back to relevance. And so it was this one and our topic for today, the Stratosphere Fishhook Coaster. You ready to see this thing? Yeah. I've got the plans right here.
Okay.
Here is the proposed Stratosphere Fishhook Coaster.
No. Why?
This thing is crazy.
Why?
What's wrong with this?
You're not even looking at the same picture, are you?
So on May 4th, 2001,
there's an elevator that get to the top of it.
So
you drop straight down. I'm explaining this.
Well, I've got all this stuff in my script I gotta talk about.
Screw the script. I'm gonna explain this. You get an elevator. You go up to the very tippy top, which is 750 feet.
It's not quite the top of the tower, because the top's 1,000.
It's still too tall. And it goes up 750 feet. And then you drop to the very bottom. And then you have to go back up again another 415-foot ascent. That's a heck no. That's a big old no. That's a no to the no. Like that.
This thing is crazy.
It's not even a roller coaster. It's like, here, let's put this, like... No.
What makes this not a roller coaster? By comparison...
I'm glad they never built it.
Well, you're going to get some people mad at you in the comments for that.
I'm glad they never built this because...
That's a hot take.
Then you would have never rode it. Because I would not let you ride this.
For comparison...
I'm serious. I wouldn't let you get on this one.
For comparison's sake, this 415 part right here, that's how tall Top Thrill Dragster is.
I don't care.
And it's that side of it, not this side.
Exactly.
That's insane.
You would have a heart attack. I would not let you on
I would not have a heart attack. People jump off the side of the tower and they're completely fine.
Exactly.
This was before they were doing it.
This is a no.
All right.
You are not. You would never.
Can I read the script now?
No. Yes.
On May 4th, 2001, Richard Brown, who was the COO of Stratosphere at the time, announced the resort was looking at a record-smashing roller coaster, as Haley said, would drop more than 700 feet down the side of the tower. Ride would be loaded at the lower end of the tower, so you would hop on. This is the station here. And you would hop on, and then the elevator would take the car up the elevator and then basically go down the side.
I think my other big fear would be breaking down in the elevator at the very top.
I do know that would freak you out for sure.
Oh my, so. I would die.
Except the elevator looks like it's inside the building, so...
I would panic. I would seriously panic.
The ride would be mounted on the tower's east side, offering views of the strip and downtown. At the peak of the climb, the carriage would move to the Fishhook shaped track, where it would drop straight down in a free fall. At the lowest end of the Fishhook, the track would cross over Las Vegas Boulevard at a top speed of 122 miles per hour, hitting the 416-foot beyond vertical spike, and then it would roll back and then hit brakes to slow it down and stop at the bottom of the track, and then move back into the station.
You know, I think what my biggest fear is now that we're talking about this?
What's that?
You know on the Raven at Cedar Point, how like...
The Raven. Val Raven.
Val Raven, that's what it is. So Val Raven, it like takes you up, and then you're like... You never told me it did this, but like...
I didn't tell her that the dive coasters had like a holding brake at the top.
Yeah. My fear is getting stuck like that.
Like that on this thing?
No, just on
Just in general?
I'm serious. Yeah. I would literally start panicking, like...
When that happens, that will be the last coaster she rides with me.
I'm not kidding you. I would literally, like, have a panic attack. Like, that would freak me out. So much so that they would have to, like, evacuate me.
Well, hopefully that doesn't happen.
I would be so freaked out.
At this point, Top Thrill Dragster hadn't even been built or King to Cost. So the tallest coaster in the world at this point was, I think it was Steel Dragon 2000. May have been Millennium Force. That's in Japan. But both of them were basically 300 feet. This would more than double the height record for coasters at the time and would beat the speed record by more than 20 miles per hour. So this thing was just set to shatter all the roller coaster records at the time. It was a win-win for both the Stratosphere and Aerodynamics. The resort was looking to compete with recent amusement additions like the Adventure Dome, the Big Apple Coaster, the NASCAR Cafe at the Sahara Resort. So there was like a lot of amusement things happening in the Vegas area at the time. And the coaster would help, as the plan with X and this coaster, to try to bring Aero back into relevancy. So here I've got, this is like a basically a video that Aerodynamics put out of like how it would work. You have to watch.
Oh.
So, but you get the idea. Like, they would just build this right onto the side of the tower, and it would go over. So there's like this road right here that goes right past the tower, and the coaster would go right over the road, like as people driving by and stuff here. So this is
crash my car.
So here's what it would look like. I think it's crazy.
No.
It's so hard, even just in this video, to like fathom the scale of this. Because just watching this video, it looks like a 200, 300 foot coaster.
It's not.
It's hard to like get it in my head, but this thing would literally be 750 feet tall. Like, that's just crazy.
You wouldn't even gray out. You would black out.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know how intense the bottom of the drop would be. So here's some of the blueprints that Aero released as preparation was taking place. So here they had some more internal stuff, like showing how the elevator would work and stuff in this one.
Okay, so I am curious on like what happened. Why did they not finish it?
Oh, well, that's what we're here to talk about, isn't it? So here's a model that was actually in the lobby of the resort for a time period too. So, I mean, they were pretty serious about this. Like, they were, they had the plans worked out with Aero. Like, Aero had put together this prototype. They had the model built. They had the digital rendering put together. Like, they felt like this was going to happen. So, what did happen? Well, almost immediately, the project was facing huge backlash from like this neighborhood that was close by called the South Ridge neighborhood. So here's this article. Stratosphere's plans for ride opposed. This is in August of 2001. I'm just going to read a couple excerpts here. The thought of the noise from the hotel's latest project is too much for some who live in the neighborhood bounded by Las Vegas Boulevard and a bunch of other streets. Members of the nearby South Ridge Neighborhood Association have scheduled a meeting for 7 tonight at the Fremont High School to organize an attack on the proposal. We all fell off our chairs. We're appalled, said Jack Levine, president of the Neighborhood Association. The real issue is we think it will have a huge impact on anyone who lives close to it. It will have a deterioration on home values.
Okay, hold up. This little town went from the whatever naked thing to this, where they're like freaking out.
This is a different, the Naked City or whatever it's called was on the other side of the hotel from this neighborhood.
Oh, Vegas is so confusing.
Vegas is very confusing because this neighborhood was built in the 50s before Vegas even became what it is today.
Okay.
So the thing is like a lot of these people that live in this neighborhood, if they've lived there like their whole lives, they probably hate what Vegas has become. But so like anything like this, they're like, well, it's going to be too loud. Like, it's ruining our neighborhoods. But in reality, it's like, well, you're in Vegas. Like, I don't know what you expect.
Yeah.
Someone else said, I can't believe someone would put something like this so close to a residential area. We already hear the roller coaster, which they're talking about High Roller because that was still there at that point. And it's not so bad. We live with it. But this thing is a lot different. Someone else said, we live in Vegas and this is what it's about. Fun and lights and noise. It's great. I don't mind it at all. So like some people weren't opposed, but a majority were. And this last quote here, we want to make it clear to the city council that we are opposed to this sort of roller coaster. Who wants to live under a roller coaster? This thing was 4 blocks away. I don't know. This under a roller coaster?
Under a roller coaster.
Okay. Maybe not 4 blocks, but they weren't under a roller coaster. The roller coaster only went over one road and into the parking lot for the Stratosphere. So, did not go over this man's house. If there is a quicker way to destroy a neighborhood, I don't know of one. Oh. Okay, how about crime? I can think of lots of things that would destroy your neighborhood faster than a roller coaster. The war was on. City and board meetings, protests, hearings, and more took place throughout 2001.
Wow.
In August of 2001, the City Planning Commission denied the plans to build the 740-foot coaster. So it looked like the City Council was going to oppose it too. So Arrow and the Stratosphere kind of went back to the drawing board and said, okay, what if we make some changes? So they responded with by introducing a revised version of the coaster that would only be 510 feet tall, 93 miles per hour. It would have enclosed cars, so that way it would kind of muffle the screams of people. Because I think that's what people were worried about, was like the people screaming would be too loud.
Shut up, people. I'm going to put you in an enclosed vehicle.
Well, you want to know what's funny? That is a thing that happens on roller coasters. Disney, so in Incredicoaster at Disneyland, those canopies, those are not for.
That's just
that's to keep people from bothering the nearby neighborhoods with their screams.
I mean, I guess.
So that's what those are for. The unfortunate part of this new design is it would no longer break the speed record. It would break the height record, but not the speed record. With all this going on, let's jump back over to Six Flags Magic Mountain because that does matter here. So after a planned summer 2001 opening, X had suffered from significant design flaws. The ride ended up being way more expensive and way more complicated than Arrow anticipated. So while it was a huge success and people love it, it just was they lost millions of dollars on the project rather than making money. So in December of 2001, Arrow actually filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which I don't know how familiar you are with what that means. I'll simplify it. Basically, I'll dumb it down. It's more complicated.
Oh, you'll dumb it down? Thank you. I appreciate it.
I mean, it's just a figure of speech. It's more complicated than this, but essentially it means they can continue to do business and as they try to reorganize the business. So the company wasn't completely down under. It didn't. The company wasn't completely going out of business, but they did file bankruptcy because they just couldn't pay back. And what was? I thought I had how much they owed in here. Oh, it might be. I might have it in an article. We'll see. Okay. But they owed a lot of money, and that was the problem. So they couldn't pay back their investors. Well, the problem was. Let's see. Here's the enclosed cars that they proposed. I forgot to show you that.
Interesting.
That's interesting. All right, so here's the article about the bankruptcy. So, Aerodynamics Controller said the company's filing for bankruptcy in December won't affect its plans for the Stratosphere ride. So essentially, Arrow was saying, okay, we declared bankruptcy, but they couldn't build, they weren't allowed to, as part of the restructure, they weren't allowed to build the ride anymore, but they could still help and aid in the design process. Okay. So because they were in bankruptcy, this was kind of like their last project. They were like, okay, if we can get the Fishhook Coaster off the ground, we'll be able to save the company and we can move forward. If the thrill ride is approved by the city council in the coming months, Aerodynamics of Clearfield, Utah will only design the ride, like I said. So then somebody from this other neighborhood association now says, I think it certainly raises a lot of questions. All along, we were told that one of the reasons this ride was a good idea was because it was being put forward by such a great company. But now we hear that company is bankrupt.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Arrow misjudged the cost of building the X coaster, lost millions on the project, and was forced to file bankruptcy. Yes. Here's where it was. Arrow stated that it owes more than $2.2 million to its 20 largest unsecured creditors. So they really needed this project to take off to pay back their bills and to keep the company alive. So they're doing everything they can to,
pulling at straws, grasping at straws.
Grasping at straws. There's like, okay, well, we'll make it smaller. We'll do enclosed cars. They're coming up with these ideas to make this happen. So the City Planning Commission was set to vote on the reworked proposal on April 11th, 2002. And this was the unfortunate outcome. Las Vegas, so I'll just read this from here. This explains it better than I could. Las Vegas City Council voted unanimously to block the construction of the 50-story roller coaster. The case was set to be appealed before a judge. In court, the judge was compelled by arguments in favor of the attraction, potentially leaning toward approving construction for the enormous ride. The Stratosphere's attorney argued the area was properly zoned for the coaster. However, the court was obligated to respect any evidence that supported rejecting the ride. Unfortunately, the Fishhook Coaster was deemed to be too much of an eyesore on the side of a notable and pronounced landmark. The ride was thought to not be compatible with the neighborhood and could discourage new residents from moving in. The disapproval was louder than the support, leading to the project ultimately being rejected. The attorney defending the ride said, "I have never in 30 years of practicing zoning in this town ever seen a travesty of justice as what has happened."
Interesting.
So
this is all Bob's fault.
It's all Bob's fault.
Yeah, it was Bob, whatever his freaky last name
Bob
is.
Stupak? Why is it Bob's fault?
Because he wanted to make a landmark. It all started with him wanting to make a landmark and then pushing too much.
Well, without the landmark, though, the coaster wouldn't have even had a chance to begin with. So.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is it's like...
What it comes down to is really just... I don't know. Like people... This is a thing that's interesting with, like, amusement parks. Like, if you buy a house close to an amusement park, does that give you a right to complain about the noise of the amusement park? Like, it's there before you buy the house.
Yeah.
If you buy a house in Vegas, you know what you're getting into. It's Vegas.
Yeah.
So, and like, I know people, could make arguments one way or the other, but that's just how I feel. Like, if you buy a house close to an airport, expect to have noise from airplanes. Like, that's just...
Yeah.
You have to be self-aware of where your house is before... I don't know. So... It's disappointing. I can see where some people were against the look of the ride, that they said it was not as aesthetically pleasing as just the tower by itself. So I can kind of get that a little bit, but like the complaining about the noise, it's like, come on, like you live in Vegas. What are you doing? Like,
that's interesting.
It is interesting. So
it's interesting that the people are like, well, our neighborhood is a quiet neighborhood. It's like,
you live in Vegas.
Define
and
quiet.
I don't know. I haven't been to Vegas, so maybe I really don't know the town like most people do. But
maybe some of our listeners are from Vegas.
Yeah, and maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe there really is a quiet part of Vegas, and this was impeding on that. But to me, I just hear Vegas and I think loud all the time.
Yeah,
like
traffic.
That's just that's just my. My outsider looking in, my thoughts of what Vegas is like. So, who knows? Not willing to go any smaller on the project, Stratosphere just said, we can't do this, and just scrapped it. This is a quote from Alan Schilke, Alan Schilke is like a legend in the industry. He worked for Arrow, designing X and designing this and some other stuff at Arrow. He now is one of the lead designers over at RMC.
Oh.
He's brilliant. He was the designer for Steel Vengeance,
is he on your bucket
Twisted
list
Timbers.
Of people to meet?
Oh, I would love to meet Alan Schilke. He's awesome. So this was a quote from an Arrow documentary that kind of came. I think Ace put together the documentary, and this was a quote from that documentary. Just want to give credit where it deserved. So Schilke said, even after the first vote, we just thought, it's like, okay, the first time it went in, they didn't like it. We'll just go through some processes here and make sure it gets through. So the first time it was a blow, but I guess we still didn't believe that the project wouldn't go through. And after time went by, they rejected it again. Yeah, it was devastating. That was really the nail in the coffin at Arrow. And it was. By November of 2002, Arrowhead completely dissolved. They didn't have any money coming in because this was like their last project. This was basically it was all or nothing. If they built the Fishhook Coaster, they're probably still here today. If they didn't, well, now we see what the end result of that was. So by November of 2002, all of its assets were auctioned off to S&S. So S&S is still in business. They're the ones that built Powder Keg. They've done a lot of other stuff too, but they now own anything aerodynamics that they sold off. So they still provide parts for aerodynamic rides and stuff like that. And they actually, I don't remember what year it was, but they would go on to build another fourth dimension coaster in Japan called Ijanika. And it's supposedly even better than X is, and even bigger, even faster, all that. So, but they, because they bought out Arrow, they now own the rights to that design. So they built another one, and no one else has ordered one, but they still could technically. In the coming years, the Stratosphere would instead add X-Scream Insanity on the Sky Jump. That was kind of, those ended up being the investments that took the place of the Fishhook Coaster. They just kind of invested it in other thrill rides. And with the Fishhook Coaster no longer a threat, Intamin would go on to break the coaster height record in 2003 with Top Thrill Dragster, and again in 2005 with King Ka, which still holds the record to this day. So the question is, what would have happened if the Fishhook Coaster had been built? Well, it's interesting because that probably means aerodynamics is still in business today. So it would be interesting to see what kind of innovations they would have come up with over the last 20 years. It also means potentially rides like Top Thrill Dragster and King Ka don't even get constructed because they wouldn't have broken the height record. So would Cedar Point have even built that if it didn't break any records? Or would they have done something different just so that it could break the speed record but not the height record? It's just interesting to think what the future of the coaster industry would have looked like if the Fishhook Coaster could have smashed all the records back in 2001, 2002. So, but we shall never know.
Apparently I'm supposed to keep my P's and Q's to myself about this coaster. Because I would say I am glad that history is the way it is.
I mean, you can't change it now, so you can think about the what ifs, but that doesn't change the past. The fact of the matter is the Fishhook Coaster never happened and never will.
Thank goodness.
And that is the history of the Stratosphere Fishhook Coaster.
Well done.
And that concludes season 1 of Airtime Traveler. Just wanted to say, for all of you that have tuned in to season 1, we really appreciate your support. And I know our recording quality may not be 100%. There's been things I've researched that I've missed, like our Gemini episode. I incorrectly stated the corkscrew. Anyway, if you listen to the episode, but we appreciate your support, and we continually are trying to make the podcast better every single time we record, and we're looking forward to continuing doing that for season 2. And we've had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know I have had fun. I know that some of my opinions are very opinionated, but
that's why you're here, though. That's why you're here. You're here to bring the GP's perspective, and
maybe not all GPs.
Not all GPs,
but at least,
but some of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and they make you more fun.
Yes,
so.
Yes, you do.
I just hope that our listeners, appreciate. I don't know. I hope that if you guys have any opinions on how we can improve our podcast, or if there's something that you guys want to hear, if there's a specific coaster, please let us know in the comments, because this is something that we put a lot of time and effort into, and we just are doing it to not only for ourselves but for you guys as well. So please let us know what we can do to make you guys happy, because that's what it's truly all about. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So we're excited to see where the future goes with the podcast. So I did want to announce quickly, I talked about this a couple times, just kind of hinted at it. There is going to be a competition happening over at on the Airtime Traveler social media. I think it'll be on Twitter and Instagram. Essentially what we're going to do, I'll post the rules and forms and everything on the actual social media, but we're going to have a competition to see who can guess which parks are building which parks will announce a new roller coaster in 2023. So it'll be something like everybody will get to pick 10 parks that they think will announce a coaster, and they'll get 1 point for picking the park correctly, and they'll get an additional 2 points if they can guess the model correctly. So if they can guess like what kind of coaster they announce. And so everyone will be able to submit those probably, I was going to do end of December, but I'm getting this out kind of late, so it may be end of January, and anything submitted before then won't count. Or anything announced before then won't count. And whoever wins the competition at the end of next year, so because we'll have to wait till the end of 2023 to see who guessed everything correctly. But whoever wins at the end of the year, we'll send them some kind of theme park merchandise. I haven't decided what it'll be yet, but
it'll be awesome.
Yeah, and like to participate in the competition will be free, so you might as well submit your entry and then tune in at the end of 2023 and see how you did, and maybe you'll win something out of it. So, and I thought that'd be a fun yearly thing that we can do.
Maybe we can add like another thing, like you get like an extra 2 points if you share it.
Oh, Haley's thinking like a social media marketing expert now.
I mean, I do have my own small business, so that's
true. She's nuts with that. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so that'll be fun. Like I said, I'll post rules and stuff like that because just want to make sure everybody's on the same page as far as their submissions, and yeah, I think it'll be fun. So, well, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Airtime Traveler, and we're excited to see you in season 2. In the meantime, we'll be doing some trip reports, and like I said, we'll be doing an episode of Coaster Conversations on the 2nd of January to talk about the Coaster Bot rankings for 2022. So be sure to follow us on social media and on Spotify or wherever you may be listening so that you get notifications every time we release a new episode. We're obviously, we won't be posting Airtime Traveler episodes, but over on social media, I'll be keeping up with all kinds of news and whatever is, happening in the industry. So be sure to keep up to date with all that over on our social media. And then you'll also be notified whenever Airtime Traveler starts back up in April. So we're excited, and thanks for supporting season 1 of the podcast. And you have any final thoughts for our listeners?
No. Just thank you.
Just thanks.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for today's episode, and we will see you in season 2.